Hi guys, you did such a great job on your work this week. I'm excited to share the answer key with you if you want to check your answers. So thank you to everyone for doing such a nice job and working on your technology as well. I noticed many more of the pictures were enlarged correctly. And so that was really awesome to see. We want to work on our technology as we're working on our history and our English skills and all these different things. So great job. Let's go ahead and get started. I don't have a mouse. I hope that works. Okay, perfect. So the first question had to do with the war in Korea, and I borrowed this answer from Estefania, so thank you so much. And the question was, how did the Korean War change the way Korea was divided? So Estefania wrote, after the war, the Soviet Union supported a communist government in North Korea. The United States supported a non-communist government in South Korea. The initial border between North Korea and South Korea remained the same. So this was a something that many Americans were very upset about because over 38,000 Americans died in the Korean War and the border did not change. So it's pretty amazing to look at maps from before and after the Korean War. And very sad too. Okay, thank you, Estefania. The second question I borrowed from Connor, his answer. So this question had to do with war in Vietnam. And so what happened in Vietnam after the U.S. withdrew? So Connor wrote, when the U.S. withdrew northern Vietnam over around the south and made Vietnam one country again. And that is exactly right. And Vietnam is a communist nation. Technically, the United States did lose this war, although our president who helped bring it about to an end called it peace without victory. But the idea was, you know what, let's stop fighting this war. It had gone on for too long, many Americans had felt. So, yeah, so pretty sad war. This is the war of your grandparents' generation. So my parents and your grandparents. So thank you again, Connor, for this. And also in U.S. history next year, you will learn a lot more about the Vietnam War. Okay, now this skill builder question, I really appreciated the work you guys did on this. I thought I would borrow Kobe's answer here. He had the correct answers, but he didn't use a complete sentence, which is fine. It happens, especially on these ones where you're kind of doing multiple things. So I just thought I'd use this opportunity because he had the correct answers to just, write the complete sentence with you guys. So you guys have been doing a good job with your complete sentences, but every once in a while, I see that they're not quite right or things are out of order. So I thought this was a great opportunity. So the question, in which year was the highest number of U.S. troops in Vietnam? Sorry, was the number of U.S. troops in Vietnam the highest? And if, as you can see here, the U.S. is this gray one right here. So this is a little bit of a tricky one. And 1967, right? And through 69, but that's where it really reached its peak. So let's write this as a complete sentence. So in 1967, the number of U.S. troops, in Vietnam was the highest. Okay, and I'm using was for the past tense. All right, and then what is the greatest number? Oh, shoot, typo, you guys. Sorry about that. That should be troops. It's because I do top the text when I get this because it's so much typing. Troops the South Vietnamese army had at any one time. Okay, so we have to look at South Vietnamese. I know these colors are a little hard to see. Okay, and we've got 1,000 right here. Okay, 1,000. So the greatest number. So the South Vietnamese, you can see they had a lot of troops fighting. So thank you, Kobe. You had the right answer for both of these, even with my typo. So greatest number of troops the South Vietnamese army had at one time was 1,000. And I'm going to add the word troops here. We said it a little bit above here, but it just finishes it out a little bit nicely. So Kobe, thanks for those great answers. You had those answers correct. I really appreciate that. And hopefully that helps just to see how we make a complete sentence, how we know what the question is based on the answer. Okay, Stephanie, I borrowed your definition of the 38th parallel. So this had to do with the question that is the Korean War. So this is where the imaginary line that formed the border between North Korea and South Korea. I really like this image you chose, Stephanie, with the bright colors. And this line right here, so it's not perfectly along the 38th, but it's kind of sets it. It's also called the demilitarized zone, or DMZ. All right, Elijah, I borrowed this great picture of Douglas MacArthur. I like this one. So he was a U.S. general. He fought in World War II and then also in Korea until he got into a little bit of a scuffle with President Truman and he got fired and was sent home. So learn a little bit more about that in U.S. history as well. But he wrote a scathing report that got published in a newspaper. So it was pretty big deal at the time. All right, Jairo, I love this picture you had of Ho Chi Minh. This is him as a younger man than what we usually see. So he is a nationalist who expelled the French from Vietnam. This were the United States. They thought Ho was a communist, and he was a communist. You know, this picture is probably from him, I'm going to guess, in 1919. He went to the Paris peace talks following World War I, and he tried to get Vietnam to be free at that point, to get the French out of Vietnam at that point. So I like this picture. Usually we see him quite old because the Vietnam War is going to be, 50 years later. He's got gray hair and whatnot. So I just thought this was a cool picture, a cool opportunity to tell you guys that he was there at Paris Peace Conference following World War I. So he had been a leader in Vietnam for a very long time, and he definitely was a communist. All right, domino theory. So Martha, thank you so much. I love your definition here. Domino theory are also called the snowball effect sequence applied to the international politics, according to which if a country of certain political system, it would drag others from its area towards the same ideology. So remember, ideology is a set of beliefs, and I wanted to use this opportunity. Remember, right click when it has a red underline. And then this one, that's okay. So this is not correct. So I got to do it on my own. If a country, so we got a couple extra words there, country of a certain political system, it would drag them. And she's got this picture here of dominoes here. I wonder if any of you guys have played dominoes since you've been at home. It's kind of a fun game. Actually, there's multiple ways to play, but sometimes you stack them up like this. Okay, Viet Cong, Elijah, I love the flag you chose here. So Viet Cong in Vietnam that fought the South Vietnamese. And Viet Cong stands for Red Vietnamese, so they were communists. Interestingly enough, I had a Vietnamese student, probably about 10 years ago now, and he did not like that term. The term the Vietnamese use is called Viet Minh, which translates to like freedom fighters. So, they see this war as a war of occupation and outside invaders, where we see this as a war of, communists trying to take over. So it's interesting the different perspectives. So we see Viet Cong is in our textbooks all the time. But just be aware, maybe one of you guys will travel to Vietnam one day, and just to know that that is a term they do not appreciate in Vietnam. So Elijah, once again, thank you so much. All right, Connor, another great picture here. This is No Dien Diem. And he was a Vietnamese politician. He was the first prime minister of the state of Vietnam and then served as president of South Vietnam from 1955 until he was deposed and assassinated during a 1963 military coup. Now, he was supported by the United States, but don't be tricked. He wasn't really that good of a guy. But we supported him because he was not communist. And that's usually how this what happens during the Cold War. If one guy is not communist, we will side with him. Not necessarily the nicest guy, though. All right, Vietnamization. So we've got a great picture here Jairo found for us. I like this. He included President Nixon in this picture, so I thought that was cool. So the late 60s, President Nixon started a plan called Vietnamization, and I think it got autocorrected here, but his answer is correct. So a plan to end American involvement in the Vietnam War. So my guess is this got auto-corrected or because I know when I write Vietnamization, like on my cell phone or whatever, how I'm doing it, it like autocorrects. It doesn't like that term, but it is a term, and you're exactly right. The late 60s. So Nixon is elected in 1968, and this is kind of his plan. Yeah, get America out of the war. All right, Kobe, love this picture you chose for the definition for Khmer Rouge. So Cambodian communist movement that was active as a guerrilla force from 1970 to the late 1990s and held power under the leadership of Pol Pot from 75 to 79. So cool flag. I actually was not familiar with that flag, and so I really appreciated that you chose that flag as your image for your definition. Okay. Um, I don't know why I typed Louise here. Oh, my computer's gonna break down. Hi, Ro. I used your given name. So I screwed up, you guys, and I did not give you a slide for this. So my computer is about to close off, so I'm gonna actually end it here. I'm gonna pause it. You can look at this and pause the video so you can see the answers here and then check against your answers. And I really appreciate that. And great job, you guys. Keep it up a few more weeks, okay? And I will talk with you all later. Miss you. Bye.